Need a motion to open up that meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn,
So moved. Councilman Scancarello will not be present this evening. It is his son Anthony's birthday, so we want to wish Anthony a happy birthday and many more after that.
How old?
I think he's 14 or 15. Okay, so this two events this weekend. First one is the Monroe Cheese Festival, which is on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if you get a chance, you're welcome to head down there and enjoy a good time and have a little cheese. Next up Sunday is the 9/11 Memorial. That will begin at 6 p.m. with music, and the program begins at 6:30 p.m. That's at the Mill Pond 9/11 Memorial, which is along 17M opposite the State Farm Insurance Building. So we would really love to see everyone there in remembrance of those that perished that day. Okay. Public hearings. I'll make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing to consider the adoption of local law EV1 of 2022, amending the town code regarding sewer use and access.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye.
So moved. Any update?
Well,
Go ahead,
I
Councilwoman.
have been in contact with town engineer Sean Arnott and Ben Maldonado, and we had a rough draft of a revised Chapter 42. So it's back with the building department. There were a few little tweaks because the technology has changed. So for people who have poor soils, there's now an aerobic type of septic system you could put in, and back when this code was written, which I think was 1972 or thereabouts. So we're just waiting for those final revisions to come through.
Okay. Anyone sign up for public comment?
No public comment.
No public comment. So my thought here is to close the public hearing. Conferred with council. Council is in agreement with closing the public hearing and proceeding to try and adopt the law at our September 19th meeting. So I will make a motion to close the public hearing on the continuation, on the adoption of local law EV1 2022, amending the town code regarding sewer use and access. Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Go ahead.
Can we keep public comments open until the 19th or the 18th before the meeting, just in case anybody?
Let's keep them open for 10 days. Written comments for 10
Written comments,
days.
yes.
So September 16th, any written comments can be sent to the town clerk. After that, it's closed. Ward.
What was that treatment you said? ATUs, or what was that?
No, we don't have a specific name for it, but
Okay.
it's the raised bed kind of treatments.
Okay, because there is an ATU program that was already implemented in a couple spots in the town of Monroe. We do have some background knowledge on how well they work,
Okay.
so we can
Great.
check that out. Thank you.
Thanks, Ward. Okay. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye.
So moved. Okay, I will make a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing regarding proposed amendments to a local law. Something's not right with that.
That's why we're doing the 21 and the,
EV1 of 2021, amending Chapter 57 to establish a two-family dwelling overlay for the area of the town of Monroe, north of Route 17M. Do I have a second?
I believe it's Route 17, not 17.
I'm sorry, Route 17.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved.
No public comment?
No public comment?
Yeah, I think, I saw the correspondence back and forth from the clerk's office, from the county planning saying that
Came
they,
in today.
oh, it did come in today, okay.
Yeah, came in today. They basically made it a local determination. I think we should take some time just to read their comments and keep it open until the 19th.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll keep it open to the 19th and see where it goes from there, all right?
Anybody else?
So I'll make a motion, yeah, that we keep it open to the 19th at 7 PM or shortly thereafter.
Let's do tonight, since it's on the 19th, let's do 7:30 because we have that stakeholders.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I'll amend the motion to be on it's the 19th?
19th.
At the 19th the 17th is Saturday. The 19th at 7:30 or shortly thereafter.
I'll second that. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. I'll make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing for proposed Arrow Park Water District. Do I have a second? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay, any comment?
No public comment?
No public comment. Did hear back from our engineers. The estimate, which I'll send everyone, is approximately 1.7 million for an upgrade of that. Our grant writer, Dave Jenkins, and I had some discussion last week, and there were some emails going back and forth between him and Quinn Malarkey from MHE actually today. So they're working on submitting that grant and moving forward with, hopeful approval of a grant to help accommodate the cost of 1.7 million to those residents. So if nobody has anything else, I will make a motion to keep open the continuation of public hearing for the proposed Arrow Park Water District.
I'll second it.
And I want to make it October 17th at 7 PM or immediately thereafter.
I'll second it.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Motion to open the continuation of the public hearing to consider the adoption of local law AV1 2022 to amend Chapter 57 zoning concerning the HI zone and the proposed amendments to the HI zone. Do I have a second?
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved. So we did get back a response from the county today on that as well. The county recommendation was also a local determination, and we would like to keep that open until the 19th so we can review the county's submission.
Sounds like a plan. I'll make a motion that we keep it open to the 19th, 7:30 or shortly thereafter.
Second it? 1 second. Was there anybody that signed up?
No public comment?
No public comment.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll second that. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay. 4.9, a motion to open the continuation of a public hearing to consider the adoption of local law FV1 of 2022 to establish a registry for all rental properties in the town. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved.
No public comment?
No public comment. So we're waiting, from what I understand, for a response from the building department, I believe, because Brian had some questions that I believe he had put out to Ben. So what I'd like to do tonight is close the public hearing and then proceed to hopefully adopt it on the 19th. So if it,
Yes, I have some questions on it too that I really wanted to speak to the attorney about before we close it altogether.
okay, so you want to keep it open? We'll keep it
Yeah,
open.
yeah, I think we should
That's
keep
fine.
it open because there's some things I'd like to add in there about, number of vehicles or driveways and some other issues, as well as the enforcement mechanism to make sure that, these landlords are not, stockpiling people.
Well,
Bedroom count.
there's two instances, and I was
Yeah.
at both of them yesterday, where they're becoming flop houses for taxis.
Yeah.
And it's,
There's one right on Orange Turnpike.
yep, another one on Pine Tree Road. So,
Yeah, I'd like to build some stronger language in there and some enforcement to.
Look into my.
okay,
I'd like to build some stronger language and some enforcement mechanisms in there to address that.
okay,
Some of those issues.
all right.
I
So-
mean, I know, listen, I think we can get that done and still get this adopted in pretty short order, but
Yeah.
I think we need to look at that just a little closer.
Yeah, okay. Just so everyone is aware, I spoke to the owner on Pine Tree Road yesterday, who actually admitted to me that what they were doing there was illegal. And I asked him,
Get it on tape.
I asked him to cease.
And desist.
And desist, and he said he would take care of it this week. So we'll see what happens.
That's preferable to legal actions and fines and things like that, so that's
Yes,
fine.
yep.
So that's open then until September 19th at 7:30?
September 19th at 7:30 or immediately thereafter. I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Who will second?
Call the question.
Aye.
Who will aye?
Cardone, aye.
And I,
So moved. All right. So, next item up is the item 5.1, the acceptance of the August 15th, 2022 minutes. Everybody had a chance to read them? So with that being said, can we get approval to, can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion, changes, alterations, corrections? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Who will aye?
Cardone, aye.
and I,
Okay, so moved. Next up, 5.2 is the acceptance of the August 25th, 2022 minutes. I'll make that motion to approve those.
I'll second.
Any changes, alterations, corrections?
Can you make that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was not here.
I'll make the motion.
No, I was,
No,
no, I was here.
You were here via phone, right?
Yeah, I was here.
but you weren't here for the whole meeting.
I wasn't here for the 15th, but I was here for a portion of that.
Wait a second, really?
Yeah, I was away the 13th through the 20th.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, this was the meeting that we had in the morning.
Oh, right.
For
right.
the,
Yes. All right. In that case, go right ahead.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was the approval, what did we approve that morning? It's drawing a blank.
The tax certiorari.
The
Yeah.
tax certiorari,
Tax
yeah,
certiorari,
yes,
yeah.
okay. So,
So go right ahead then and make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
okay, who seconded it?
Mike.
Mike? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Who will aye?
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, next up, 6.1, General Fund Abstract, number 22-14 for $766,231.04. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Bingham to second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Who will aye?
Cardone, aye.
And I,
So moved. Okay, next up is basically discussion. Is anybody here from Lake Sapphire? No, nobody's here, okay. So, what has happened, the Lake Sapphire area had a microburst come through about a month or 5 weeks ago, and it created some damage along their dam. They reached out to me. I went up there with our engineers. Dory came up, and Dory came up with the idea to create a drainage district for them, which would help and assist them in repairing it, because with the drainage district, we then would be able to bond the cost of it through the town. You're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of tens of thousands, possibly $100,000 to make the repairs. There's photos in in your packet, I believe,
There are, yep.
which would show the extensive amount of damage. When I say the dam was breached, so what happened is trees in the area, which have probably been holding the soil part of the dam together, were also in close proximity to the concrete portion of the dam. So when the trees fell over, their roots came up through some of the concrete portions of the dam, lifting them up. So McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel was out there. They did a brief assessment. The DEC was out there the day before we were out there. Dory and I actually went out there today because someone thought there was additional damage that happened over the last 24 hours, which there wasn't. And what we kind of decided, we met with the Lake Sapphire residents. They are very appreciative of Dory's idea to create the drainage district. And what they want to do is they're going to hire an engineer separate from MHE to proceed with a drawdown, because the DEC suggested they draw down the lake a little bit more so that the dam is not in danger of any further breach over the winter. It was probably, I'd say, 10 to 12 inches below the spillway line.
Yeah,
Right?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So we're moving forward with it. MHE is coming up with maps, plans, and reports so that we can create an order for the drainage district, and they hope to have those done on the 19th of September. The only holdup they would see is the actual borings that will have to be done just to test the conditions around the dam. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. So that was just to fill everybody in on what was happening up there.
We'll have to, Supervisor, do we still have to do the task order for McGooey, Hauser, Etzel?
I don't, well, let's put it to you this way. I'd like to approve that task order. We could do that now.
I'll make a motion that we approve task order number 22-12, not to exceed $3,500 for work on the Lake Sapphire Drainage District Dam Study and Report.
Poole will second.
Discussion? Question?
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Next up, a sad but happy moment. Our Highway Superintendent, John Sherney, has submitted his resignation. He will be resigning as of September 15th, will be his first day off. I will say this. Number one, we have to make a motion and a second to approve his resignation, which we really don't have to do, John, you know.
Danielle, you're probably not going.
You're not an indentured servant. We can't keep you here if you want
Yes.
to leave.
But
Much as we'd like to, we can't.
I will say this, your service over, was it 22 years?
5 years.
Well, 35 years? I thought you were only 44. Your service over those 35 years is very much appreciated. Your efforts as number one, an employee, and then number two, as a highway superintendent, have been extremely beneficial to our community. We appreciate it. And going forward, we will do a little more of an acknowledgement after you officially retire. So, yeah. Anything you want to say, John? Speak into the mic.
Gotta get longer cords here from George.
Yeah.
But no, first of all, the town board, working with you guys and girls was very beneficial to the town as well. We bought a lot of equipment and a lot of needed equipment, and we paved a lot of roads. We got a lot of things done. So as any good boss knows, you're not going to be able to do that with your manpower. And the highway department in general is a very good department, and the taxpayers of the town of Monroe should be very proud of what they do on a daily basis. And otherwise, I did not take this job because of ego. I did not take this job because of I wanted to, how do you say it, put another feather in my cap. I took the job because it needed to be done at that particular time. And it's a bittersweet moment that I'm moving on, but I'm moving on to the private sector and going to stay in Monroe at least another year, and then probably looking towards Pennsylvania way. So, but that's my plan right now. And thank you all, and thank you the taxpayers especially, and everybody that we had the work and the privilege of working with, and all the mutual aid departments that we worked with, all the Village of Monroe and Bloom and Grove and everybody that always chipped in to help us, and we always chipped in to help them. So, and that makes the wheels go round. So,
Well, thank you, John.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
See, if I might just want to add, John, when you came in as superintendent when we came on the board, and obviously the town was, the highway department was a mess and was basically defunded, and equipment had not been replaced in years, and that money had been diverted to other things. And we were happy as a board once we finally took over to fully fund the department again, get you the people you need, 6 or 7 new trucks. Tony and I, we've all been out there plowing with them during these snowstorms, and we know what a tough job it is. And listen, more so than anything, you rebuilt that department, and you hired some great new employees, and you're leaving it in good shape for the next guy. And aside from the highway department, you started out how young with the ambulance corps, and then with the fire department? How many years? I mean, it's
ambulance corps I joined when I was 15 and a half, and that was done by not necessity. My mother made me do that, so.
Keep you out of trouble, that's why.
She actually, and truthfully, she saved my life, and that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's just, you're right. It's not just the highway department. It's everything else you did in between. So, we appreciate that, and we're going to miss your service. And like I said, like Tony said, we'll recognize you more officially in the coming meetings. But thank you, and we wish you well in your future endeavors.
Yep. Make sure you get Lori's honey-do list done. All right.
It'll be your tougher job.
All right, so I will regretfully make a motion to accept your resignation.
Regretfully seconded,
Call the question?
begrudgingly.
Second for discussion, just so that the motion includes September 15th for his last date?
September 15th, as per his letter.
Okay. All right, then I vote, sorry, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, nay. No, aye.
Again, aye.
Again, aye. Okay, so moved. All right, next up is the appointment of a new highway superintendent as of September 15th, and that would be James A. Patterson, Jr. Did you want to come up and speak?
Can I get sworn in right now? Oh, no, I guess you have
no.
until the 15th.
Yeah, so why don't you just give us a little bit about your background?
First of all, thank you for the board for considering me to come to Monroe. And thank you to John. I've been talking to John, meeting with John. I've known John for quite a few years, fire department related, highway related, and it's been a pleasure. And thank you, John, for your service. So anyway, I started my career out in municipal in 1991 as a volunteer fireman for the Village of Highland Falls. I grew those ranks and took almost every position there was, again, fire chief, assistants, all the way up the ranks. 2001, I was able to accept a job with the Village of Highland Falls as a laborer. I moved up the ranks there, and in 2000 and I want to say, I think it was 2010, I left there and went to the Village of Highland Falls sewer plant to get a sewer license. Well, my predecessor decided he was going to retire. I went back to the street department. I applied for the job. I got interviewed, and I got hired for the street superintendent for the Village of Highland Falls. After that, my counterpart, Tony Schiccerini, was a highway superintendent in the town of Highlands, was retiring. He was doing the same thing John's doing. He went public. I applied for that job. The board welcomed me with open arms after an interview, and I've been there since. I'm not leaving because they want me to leave. In fact, I could show letters of remorse of me leaving there. Again, I'm not doing this for glory. I love to do what I do. I love working with the people. I love working with boards. And I can't wait to work with this board. I think it's going to be very, very good for both of us. So, but thank you again.
I will say this, so I know you have a water license as well?
I have a Class D water license.
Class D water license. I actually visited Pat at his office a few months ago, and this was prior to any of this happening because we had a question regarding one of the programs you guys use for your water meters and services. And what impressed me the most was, aside from his professionalism, was the fact that he's running the highway department, he's running the water department up there, and he's also running the garbage pickup, which is unique because Highland Falls does not only their highways, the town of Highlands does the garbage pickup. So it was an extreme complex management of employees and staff because they're rotating back and forth. And I think the day we were up there, I think you had 3 guys call in.
Yes.
Yeah. So I as John, thought about this during the month of July, obviously, you came to mind. The staff at the highway department was very receptive towards you. They're the ones that made the recommendation, and I commend them for being proactive in doing that. So that said, I would like to make a motion to approve James A. Patterson Jr., not the author, as the next highway superintendent for the town of Monroe, beginning on September 15th, with a term that ends December 31st, 2023, and you have to run in the election in next November. Yep.
Just, I'll second it for discussion.
Go ahead.
So, the board members here interviewed some external as well as some internal candidates, and, by far, Mr. Patterson was I think, impressed all of us with his depth of experience and what some of the programs and things that you've done over in Highland Falls, and I think we're in the town of Highlands as well. So we're very big shoes to fill there in more than one ways, but we're happy that you accepted coming here to the town, and we think it's a great compliment to John and a transition that will work out very well.
Yeah. Discussion. John, I also want to commend you for the cooperation over the last few weeks, working with Pat and trying to show him the ropes.
Be sure you get his number when he goes. Right? Don't let him ditch his cell.
I got it.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh, no, it's Pat. Cool.
All right. So we'll call the question on that.
Hingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again,
Thank you, Pat. We'll have a
Congratulations.
formal swearing-in ceremony on September 19th.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And
Thank you.
listen, behind every man is a good woman, and thank you, Barbara.
all right.
I wouldn't be here without her.
Okay. Next item up is the retirement. We have to accept the retirement of Joe Mancuso, and we don't really have a choice here because he retired as of August 31st. Joe was the recreation director at Smith Clove Park. He was a former mayor in the village of Monroe. I believe he served on the ambulance corps. He had a business in town, and he has just been phenomenal in implementing programs at Smith Clove. Back when I was on the Park Commission, I had the pleasure of working with Joe for, I think it was 24 to 25 years I was there. And I just appreciate everything that Joe offered to the village and the town of Monroe. So I will make a motion to accept the retirement of Joseph Mancuso, Recreation Director at Smith's Clove Park, effective August 31, 2022.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Am I?
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Next up, we received a letter from Joe regarding his benefits. He'll no longer be in the park's medical plan, as Medicare will become his primary insurance. They will pick up his supplementary, and as a single plan, he will contribute 15% of the $392.52 per month. So we just want to make everyone aware that both the town and the village contribute to that, because he is a park employee with the Monroe Joint Parks and Recreation Commission. So that contribution will be shared. So he has requested from the commission that they authorize the benefit once he retires, and I believe their next meeting is on the 26th of September. That said, I don't think there's anything we have to approve. I would think it would come from the Park Commission first, and then obviously it would be split between. One other thing I did want to add, so if anybody knows Joe and is interested, we're having a retirement party for him on September 27th, 6 p.m. at Tequila Grill. It's a $40 cost to anybody that attends, and a portion of that will be directed towards his gift. So, that said, we'll move on to the appointment of Christopher Rand, item 7.6. He will be hired for the position of HEO, or Heavy Equipment Operator, in the Highway Department at a salary of $29.66 per hour. His anticipated start date is September 19th, 2022. He has been pre-approved by Civil Service in the Orange County Department of Human Resources. So, that said, anything you want to add, John?
He's another good hire. I don't know him personally, but I have seen his skills working with him on and off, seeing him. So he's another good hire that the town of Monroe and the taxpayer will greatly appreciate, trust me. And,
All right, good. All right, so with that said, I'll make a motion to approve Christopher Rand beginning September 19th, 2022 at a hourly rate of $29.66 per hour.
Pool will second.
Discussion?
Sure,
That's full-time, correct?
full-time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Am I?
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Item 7.7, Val, did you want to get into that?
This is regarding local law number 5 of 2022, to update the general code estimate to be included in the general code estimate. The estimate is between $565 and $665. This was for the most recent local law that we passed. I'm just trying to recall which one it was.
There was a couple of them, because we tried to condense some of them, but that's okay, you don't have to be
But
specific.
this was for particularly for local law 5 of 2022. And again, like I said, the estimate is between $565 and $665.
So I will make a motion to approve that, the update to the town code for not to exceed $665.
Bingham to second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Whole aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Item 7.8, I know you wanted to discuss that. I kind of understand the gist of it. It's basically the 2023 diligent renewal quote for board docs is going to have an $800 increase.
Right, so we are currently paid 2022 through 2023 with their quote. The quote that they're giving me for 2023 through 2024 is what I'm looking for approval on.
Okay. What's
And
the
this is
total, what's the total price on that?
The total on that is $18,900. It's an increase of $900.
Okay.
We first took board docs on in 2018, and the price has not gone up since.
And currently, what are the boards that are using board docs besides the town board?
Board, planning and zoning, and we're looking to bring on the fire district.
All those boards are inclusive of that price?
Yes.
There's no increase?
No.
Okay. All right. So I will make a motion to approve that renewal quote for 23-24 of $18,900 for board docs.
Bingham to second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Whole aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Got a lot of items on here, Val. You're up again. Item 7.9, the electronic recycling, shredding, and tire recycling day.
Allian, you know I like to talk. Okay, so I'm looking for the board to approve a shredding and recycling day, tire recycling as well, for Saturday, October 29th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Town of Monroe Highway Garage, 87 Mine Road. So just looking for approval to host this.
$750.
$750, that is with using Morangi. Previously, we've used confidential shredding, so we're saving about $250 with Morangi there.
Did they
And
say?
they're-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
No, you go ahead. You had a hard day at work.
Yeah, so they have a shredding truck, they do the same exact thing?
Yes, so
Okay.
actually,
Yeah.
Morangi will be on site that day, collecting the electronics and carting them away that day.
Document shredding they do on site
Yes.
with a shredding truck, just like the other contractor.
I take that back. That was advanced recycling that we used prior.
Okay.
Confidential shredding will be there for shredding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the truck, yeah.
Right.
Just because I know people.
That's separate. That's separate. There's a,
Trucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a fee for confidential shredding?
Yes, I don't have that fee right now. I think they charge by the totes. Yeah.
All right, well, if we could get that fee for the next meeting, just so it's clear.
And the
Okay.
tires will be brought to the DPW.
Yes.
Okay.
Morangi provides us with a dumpster for that. Okay. All right, so moved. So,
I don't have a motion.
yeah, I'm going to approve a motion. I'm going to make a motion to approve the electronic recycling by Morangi at $750 for the day. And that is on October 29th? Okay. And they're going to be there from
9 to 12.
9 to 12, okay. So I'll make that motion.
Who will second?
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Whole aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Item 7.10, the Town of Monroe Dog Enumeration, which will offer the public an additional form of safety from dogs by them becoming licensed, because there are quite a few out there that are unlicensed.
Yes, and New York State law requires that all dogs over 4 months old to be licensed. So shortly, letters will be going out to all residents with the instructions, the application to do the dog license renewal if your dog is not currently licensed with the town.
What's the license fee?
That is included in the letter. So if a dog is spayed or neutered, it's $16. If they are not spayed or neutered, it's $28. We also offer a three-year option for the renewal. Spayed or unneutered is $43. Non-spayed or neutered is $74.
And then there's also different rates for senior citizens
There are
who
different
have
rates for senior citizens,
dogs
yes.
to register.
And the three-year license would have to fall with the three-year rabies time period.
All right. No motion necessary there. That's just, you're just informing us that we're sending out a letter, correct? Okay. All right. Next up, I don't know if Laura Ippolito is here. So the Town of Monroe Lakeside Fire and Rescue Company is requesting the use of the town hall parking lot for a garage sale to benefit the Lakeside Fire and Rescue. The requested event date is Saturday, September 24th, with a rain date of Sunday, September 22nd. I believe the time was from 9 o'clock till 4 o'clock. We just, our approval.
Know if they got the yard sale permit from the village yet?
So actually, the town would need to get the yard sale permit from the village?
Because the town is hosting.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, the town of Monroe will need to obtain a certificate of insurance from Monroe Lakeside Fire and Rescue Company.
A certificate of liability?
Yes.
They're going to, yeah, they provide us with
Okay,
it.
all right. I have to go to Village Hall tomorrow, so I can stop in and get that yard sale permit.
Don't let them talk you into coming back, all right?
All right,
Supervisor, she was actually looking to change that date to Saturday, September 24th.
that's what I said.
Okay, with the
Yeah.
rain date of the 25th.
Originally it was the 17th. I didn't mention
Okay.
those, yeah.
No, I
those
thought you
dates.
said the 22nd,
No, 24th, and the rain date's the 25th.
25th.
Thank you, Val.
It's okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve Lakeside to use the town hall parking lot, providing insurance to the town of Monroe, listing us as an additional insured. And there is, the only fee that would be encumbered would be the fee associated with the permit.
With the
from
permit.
the village.
Yep.
Lakeside would reimburse. A motion? Harry? Okay. Call the question?
Cool, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Item 7.12. Madam Clerk?
So I am looking for, it's probably not even a motion, but I need to submit a check to the town in regards to taxes for 2023, the town and county taxes to cover penalties, return check fees, and second notice fees. That amount is $21,251.33.
Motion?
Here's the check.
Refer to the check.
Yes.
Keep me out of it.
From one pocket to the next.
All right. Okay, item 7.13, Councilwoman Bingham, the Water District 1 pressure tank.
Water District 1 has been in need of some work for quite a while. It's been kind of a patchwork job. One of the pressure tanks that they had there was replaced a little while ago, but it needs to be upgraded. So there is another tank that Water District 12 has right now, has never been used, but according to the company that manufactured the tank, the lining needs to be redone, and, outside painting of the tank, kind of cosmetic. So if Water District 1 were to repurchase and reuse that tank, the estimated cost for the repairs and upgrades to Water District 1 pump house is $84,720 to $99,720. There has to be a little leeway there because electrical, plumbing, possible backhoe work, changes, alterations to the building. Option number 2 is for Water District 1 to go out and simply buy 2 new tanks to replace the 2 that are there. Well, there's only 1 there now. The second one got taken out a while ago. That was part of the possible upgrades done in the past. So the cost for that is $45,000 to $50,000. Again, depends on the amount of plumbing and electrical work and things like that.
Is that per tank, Mary, or is that for?
That's for both of them
For
together.
both of them together.
Right, because they're 2 smaller tanks.
Right.
Versus the one from 12 is a larger tank.
Okay.
Okay. Option number 3 is to get some VFD pumps, variable speed pumps, and put them on a skid, similar to what was done in Water District 12. So right now, we know there might be some development coming on in the future. That's been said for like 25 years in that area, but it could be taken out of the current pump house, and since it's on a skid, it could then transfer to the new proposed or whatever is in the future pump house. So that cost is $55,000 to $65,000. So there are 3 options, and it's a large amount of money, so we have to discuss what the best option is. And if you have questions, I'll do my best to answer. If not, I'll reach out to Tommy, our water operator, and see what. But he says the work needs to be done. Something needs to be done.
Yeah, obviously something needs to be done because it's lots of issues. Just jumping back to the Water District 12 tank, what is the turnaround time? I guess how long would that take to repurpose it and reline the inside? And if you don't have the answers, that's fine. I'm just trying to think of what's easier and cheaper.
Well, the cost on that one is the most expensive.
Yeah.
So the turnaround time is probably going to be more than a month, and then we're running into the colder winter months and probably wouldn't be doing that kind of work until the spring, I would think.
Get the 2 new tanks. What is that? Is there a back order like on everything else out there in this world today?
I haven't heard of any backlogs on that.
Yeah.
But you never know. Sometimes they're there today and they're gone tomorrow.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, no guarantees on that either.
I mean, just listen. I know I live in that district, so I don't want to seem like I'm, But to me, I think probably the best thing is to go with the 2 newer tanks, and just that might be maybe a quicker option. I guess it depends on what.
We could always put that tank on Auctions International, see if we
Right.
can sell it.
I mean, I think doing that and then getting the variable speed pump on the skid would be the quickest, hopefully the quickest option.
Well, you have some pumps there now. So if we got the tanks and the pumps that are there now, hopefully that would last you for a little while.
Right.
The skid is more of an option. As I said, there's always talk about development in that
Yeah.
area, and it would be a nice way to save you some money in the future. Because if you go with option 2, using 2 new tanks, and there is something that develops, then it's going to be a lot of plumbing and removal costs, and is it going to work in the new setup? So that's why I wanted the board to be aware, and like I said, I could reach out to our water operator and see what
I mean,
he feels.
Yeah, and we could talk to him. Listen, I would go with what his recommendation is anyway,
But
if
pretty much,
if we could nail that down at the next meeting, that would be great. And
we
this
want to
way-
try to keep it around that $50,000 mark, because if you use the tank from 12, it's double the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm kind of thinking, just go with the two new smaller tanks and hopefully, listen, down the road, whatever happens, happens. But
Right.
that would probably, I would say either one could be incorporated into any new pump station. It would just have to be built the size for it, you know. And then any new pump station would have to have, you know, generator backup and all the other stuff that.
Right, and then we could
Yeah,
possibly
wax.
go for a grant. This is more
Right,
just to
right.
make sure you can survive another year
Yeah,
in that water
yeah.
district without a major problem
'cause
like.
we're,
Water District 1's fund balance is 142,000 or
It's
something?
about that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's plenty of money in fund balance to do something if you're going to do around that $50,000 mark. Okay, so I'll reach out to our water operator, and I'll come back for the next meeting.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for
Appreciate the
your
hard work
efforts.
on that.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
You are truly water woman. Thank you.
Aqua Woman.
Aqua woman, yeah.
All right, next item up is a ZBA escrow refund.
Supervisor?
yeah.
Did you want to make a motion to table that, or just
No, we'll
carry
just put it
over?
on the agenda for next meeting. Thank you, though. So, the ZBA escrow refund, Mr. and Mrs. Zolk were before the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance. Variance was approved. All fees have been paid to Ferrick, Nugent, and McCartney and have been signed off by the ZBA and the ZBA secretary. So I will make a motion to return the balance of their escrow of $1,303.96 to Mr. and Mrs. Zolk. And there's a copy of their project escrow account attached.
Second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, aye.
And I,
Okay, so moved. Old business, item 8.1 is the task order for Water District number 14 and the WIA grant.
Again, that has to do with work that needs to be done in that district. McGooey Hauser Etzel is looking for a $2,500 task order to look into the work that needs to be done there and to ensure that the WIA grant shows that we're working to improve that district. It always looks better when you're talking to the state to show that we're making some kind of improvements there. So this is related to the WIA grant. So it's 25, I'll make a motion to approve McGooey Hauser task order number 22-11 in the amount of $2,500.
Full will second.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
You're asked, just so to be clear, you're asking for the supervisor to sign that.
I guess, yes, then the supervisor to sign that as well, because we had two other task orders before. Yeah,
Last meeting, yeah.
yeah. Then yes, for the supervisor to sign that as well.
Second, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Full aye.
Cardone, aye.
again, I,
Okay, so moved. Next up is the town E-code regarding tree preservation. So we received some comments from our planner. And did everybody have a chance to read those comments? I did not get to speak to our planning board chair on them, but basically, there's some common sense measures to approve. So the first one is increasing the threshold from 6 to 8 inches on all certain applications of trees, allowing an area of 3,500 square feet per lot or some fraction of a building lot to be cleared for all trees up to 12 inches with no fee or replacement required. The reasoning behind that is you're basically clearing the area where the home would go. He also suggested having a sliding scale for the tree fee, such as first 6 free, next 24, 350, and beyond that, 24 would be $750 per tree, which is the current fee, and those fees would be paid to the town. Not requiring surveys of trees that are 25 feet beyond the proposed clearing limit lines, and to give planning board discretion to provide relief, which they do have presently in some capacity. So I would really like to have this, looked at and approved at the next meeting. I would also like Ward, to get your comments. I will email you a copy of this. Do you have? Do you have an email? Right. All right. Yeah. So, Ward, I'm going to give you this copy tonight. So, yeah, no problem.
The Pony Express is coming over.
So Supervisor, the one exception I take is to number 4, not requiring surveys of trees that are 25 feet beyond the proposed clearing limit lines. In the past, we've had trees that were cut down that were rather large trees, and they were, I believe, outside that 25-foot line, so
That's why we're here, Mary.
that's
So,
why, that's the only
and I'm
thing
sure
that kinda jumps out
Ward
at
would
me.
comment on that as well, being the tree baron that he is. Right?
Termite.
Yeah. So, we'll place that on the agenda for hopefully approval and discussion at the September 19th meeting. Item 8.3 is the out-of-district water user agreement. So far, Mr. Horowitz has not returned it. Mr. Nugent and Mr. Zitt, we're going to reach out to them to see what the status of it was, and we'll hopefully get an answer. Otherwise, I'm just going to pull it from any future agendas if we don't get an answer. Next up is the Zoning Board of Appeals. Last time we approved the slot for John Seeley, the term expiration was incorrectly noted. So the correct term expiration, I will make a motion to make the correction that the term expiration for the appointment of current Zoning Board of Appeals member John Seeley in slot number 4 is 12/31/2023. So I'll make a motion to approve that.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Poole, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Okay. Next up, Councilwoman Bingham, Chapter 23 of the Town of Monroe Code regarding building construction administration.
This was actually begun back in November of 2020, and we got to a certain point. The building inspector just wants to take one final look and compare the last draft that we have with the state code. So if we could put this on for the agenda for the 19th, I think he'll be ready to make any last-minute revisions, and then we could vote on it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or concerns now? I spoke to the building inspector today. We had a meeting discussing some of the changes I had suggested, and he was fine with it, and council will prepare those changes. Dory, I know you had mentioned you had a question or two, so.
I did. 23-23, sections E through H, talks about the town board receiving a report and then holding a hearing. 23-23, yes, sections E, F, G, and H. And I'm just wondering if the town board is the best board to host that hearing.
We're the only board that can.
It wouldn't go in front of the Justice Court for that?
No, I think I had a discussion with Mr. Nugent prior on that, and I believe it would come here, and then somebody from Free-Riggs, McCartney, would represent the building inspector. He would have his own legal counsel, not necessarily, it would be somebody from the same firm, but not the person who's representing the town, right?
The village did something like that, and it was just very difficult to coordinate. That's the reason that I...
All right. I think
But
I
I'll-
would follow up with
Yep.
Mr. Nugent, just to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That said, that's it. We do have to go into executive session after public comment. Public comment?
John Deschner?
Hey, listen, just real quick before we start public comment. So if you want to come up and make comments, for the record, then that's fine. If you have questions that you want to ask about the CCR or Rye Hill corridor, then please stay seated. I'm going to come down. I'm going to pass you the mic. You can just ask me like one or two quick questions. If I know the answer, I will tell you what I know, and because I know people, you want answers, and rather than sitting up here and asking stuff that doesn't get answered, I think that's a better format for both the town and the and the residents. So if you want to come up and make a comment, please do so. But if you have questions, then we'll do that. I'll come down and we'll do the second part as questions. So is that working or? Yeah. All right, great. All right. So, but John, if you have questions, you can sit there. I'll come out to you. If you want to make comments, you can come up here. It's totally up to you.
John Deschner, also known as Johnny Debris. Mainly want to talk about the Cheese Festival, but first, I was out at Pine Island with Jimmy Sturr, doing a little poker with...
Wait, poker or polka?
And I was with Joni Debris.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden I hear in the background, Johnny Debris. And I says, do they know me out here? I don't believe it. And it was Tori.
It was.
So she met Joni Debris. So anyway, let's get back to the
Cheese Festival.
The Cheese Festival. September 10th, Saturday, 11 to 7. It's free. And I particularly want to thank Sal for, driving this thing, and also Mayor Neil Dwyer for bringing it back. And in particular, I want to applaud Sal, okay? There's an old saying, it doesn't hurt to compliment somebody, because you might gain a friend, But anyway.
Yeah, what are you looking for? A little Subasad, Genoa?
Anyway, Sal, he's the heart and soul of this town.
Agreed.
And he's ran these truck festivals over by Orange and Rockland. The last time he ran one, he had 20 trucks, and he had 3 bands, and I'm predicting, because he's involved in this cheese festival, it's going to be the best cheese festival of all time.
We hope so.
And so I'd like to give him a big pat on the back, and also the mayor for Lake Street and getting going there, and of course those banners he puts up. But if you're at the Cheese Festival, go into the center of the village, right in the middle of the village, and right in front of the Monroe jewelry store is Garrison Hooley.
Harrison's.
Dory Hooley's son.
Yes.
And you know what? I think it's great that they're putting banners up of soldiers that are living. And Harrison is what, in North Carolina?
He's in North Carolina, Fort Bragg.
Yeah, he's a short-range missile. He runs a short-range missile, whatever.
HIMARS, yep.
Ask her, she knows it.
HIMARS, high mobility
Short-range missile.
rocket systems, yes.
Yeah, and and they call him the Rocket Man.
We do.
And now, and the thing is, years ago, I can't give more credit to also the Mayor Dwyer. They used to have a 5-year plan, but it got busted up with the pandemic. And, like I say, Sal's the heart and soul. You gotta have a heart and soul in a village. Otherwise, it's just a dot on a map. And the more people you get out there talking, the more people vote, the more people go to meetings. And so it's very important. You might even consider maybe having Sal I don't know, the theater, is that back? Is it?
Theater's up and operating, they're doing great.
It's
Theater's
doing
good.
great?
Yeah.
Well, you might consider announcing what's playing,
We
because you gotta get the spirit of the town, otherwise it's just a dot on a map.
So, not that I
Okay,
want to throw
and,
you off, but your time's up.
My time's up. I want to say one more thing for Sal with his food trucks.
Yep.
Tutti a tavola a mangiare.
So,
Salute.
thank you. Hey, and just to clarify, Sal does do a wonderful job, but I will tell you that there are women behind the wonderful job he does, and that's Jennifer Schnars and Anne-Marie Morris, who do all the logistics, the paperwork, and handle everything associated with the food truck festival. And with the Cheese Festival, there's a woman named Lynn Sear who has headed up that committee. And don't forget Lynn, because she's the one that really is going to make it happen if it does. So, next speaker.
Matt Latka.
Hello, my name is Matt Ladka, live at 1345 Orange Turnpike here in Monroe. I really don't know if I'm supposed to be up here for a question or a comment. I got a combination of both, so I'm just going to go over all of it right now.
All right, so I'll do the questions out there, so if you want to make a general comment, I
All
guess
right,
that's
it
fine.
may-
But I figure it's better off than
All right.
going back and forth like this.
First, what I'm going to talk about is the Rye Hill Preserve. And this is what I'm going to talk about is based on the facts that I've been able to gather through articles, the Town of Monroe's website, and also coming and listening to you guys, the town board, as well as the planning board talk about this project. Okay? I believe that there's a lot of what I'll call oversights. And maybe it's miscommunication between the town of Monroe and its residents here. A perfect example, and maybe it's questions that we have that aren't just getting answered. And maybe there's a forum we can set up where we can have more of this towards this particular project, where we can bring everybody in and we can ask our questions. I know that we were told that we would have our time with the planning board, we would have our time with the town board, but it just doesn't seem like we're getting our questions answered. And one of the things that I believe is a question here is, I'm just trying to find where I was, is an oversight, because I think we're moving a little bit too fast on this project. I know that this has been in the works forever, okay? And I shouldn't say forever, but a very long time with the CCR and all that stuff. But just recently, probably in May, it was brought up, and from May till, or even the beginning of June until now, it has seemed like we are on record pace to try and get everything approved. Maybe I'm mistaken, but again, this is my perception of how I feel of this, okay? And what I'm looking at here is I was looking at the maps on the town, and specifically the Eagle Ridge side, because that's the part that the whole project is a big concern for me, but the Eagle Ridge side, or on top, is right next to my house, as I'm sure a lot of you know. But on the map, the road going right out, which I have concerns about traffic that I brought up here before. The road is going right through what I believe and what even the map shows, and it seems like it's been changed, is a wetland. Okay, it's a green area on the map, and I don't understand how we can put a road through a wetland. I don't want to say it's an oversight, but on the first map, it wasn't wetlands, because I don't exactly know if they were surveying that area the proper way. Later on, they did come out, because I saw them, and it's now changed into a green area, and the road is going right through it. Okay? Another reason why I think this is going too fast is it's impacting so many different municipalities here. Okay, the water, the sewer, where are we getting them? Where are we getting that stuff? They talked the last meeting with the planning board that if we didn't have the water, we could put a water tower, was the word that they used. Now that's fine, but there isn't even one proposed drawing where this water tower would be. That's a concern for us. And these are questions that I not only have, but I'm sure other residents in Monroe have. Now another one, and this is probably one of my biggest, there's so many concerns, but this is the last point I'm going to bring up today. And I have it written down. I'm going to read this the way I have it written. As my last concern at this time, at this point, the Rye Hill side of this project has 2 entrances and exits. One is an emergency exit through Prestwick Gardens for 279 homes. The Eagles Ridge side of the project has only 1 entrance exit going through out onto Orange Turnpike, and that's for 219 homes, or 219 residents. My question to this is, and I'm trying to get answers, is we have emergency exits through Prestwick Gardens. Why can't they be used as primary exits? We are compromising, and maybe it's because it's in the village of Monroe and we're the town of Monroe, but we have been compromising, and maybe compromise is not the right word, but we have been working with the town and the village to get water rights, to get sewer rights, and maybe we need to compromise and try and alleviate some of the traffic coming out onto Orange Turnpike as well as Rye Hill Road, and I don't understand why they need to be labeled emergency exits. And this is a huge question I have. It should be allowed that these are pure exits and entrances and come as you want. And that's an issue that I just haven't been able to get answered through any research. It's on the maps as an emergency exit. I don't understand why. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Anyone else just for comment up here?
I'm going to switch mine to comment because I also thought we were going to speak about the tree preservation law.
All right,
You could speak to it.
yeah. I mean, come on up.
You got to come up.
Maureen Richardson?
Just state your name and where you live, please.
Hi, my name is Maureen Richardson. I live on Harriman Heights Road. Basically, my thought with the tree preservation law is that I've been speaking with other local municipalities such as Woodbury, and they seem to believe that our tree preservation law is actually lacking in comparison to theirs. And given the recent gigantic ecological disaster with the ash borer and the fact that we've lost the ash tree from like all the way to Oregon, all the way over to New York State, and that this drought, all of those orange trees that you're seeing around on the mountains and in people's property, there's higher than a 50% chance that those trees haven't hardened off properly for the winter to survive and that they will be dead the coming year. So just walking around in Monroe, you see just the plague of dead trees everywhere, and that is looking to get worse as far as the spotted lanternfly as well. So anything that we can do to strengthen the tree preservation law, and I'll just be looking also to follow up the next time you guys meet about this issue. And then I'm just going to save for the Rye Hill Preserve has questions.
Thank you.
That's all for public comment.
Matt, while Councilman McGinn is coming out, Matt, I have the map up here of Eagle Ridge, so when you're done, if you want to take a look at where it goes out, it does not go into the wetlands.
I'll show you the map that I currently have, or that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just real quickly, they couldn't put it through wetlands. That would be illegal, and we wouldn't allow it. Town engineer wouldn't allow it. DEC wouldn't allow it. Nobody would allow that. Just so, let me just, I'm gonna go one by one so that we can have it kind of a little bit orderly. So if you have a couple of just quick, succinct questions, because I'm not, I can't track a bunch of them. And listen, Matt, let me put this in my, we will, going forward, maybe we'll schedule a Saturday morning where people can come down, we can discuss this in a informal, they have questions. We are going to be putting out a fact sheet, frequently asked questions sheet. We've been compiling some of the questions that the folks have asked about this project. And so we're compiling that and we'll put it out so people have, I know the law, the CCR, all the other, the seeker, it's voluminous. The paper is crazy. So if we can put some of those answers in the fact sheet to make it a little bit easier for people to digest, then that's what we're going to do. That's certainly not the end all for the whole thing. We will certainly expand upon that, have some public information sessions, and answer these questions. All right. So. Who wants to go first? There you go. Just your first name. It's got to be it's got to get recorded.
Suzanne Gowan, Rye Hill Road. Question. Your name is Matt? Yeah. Okay. You mentioned the water. So, and people have been mentioning the water situation. So I just actually am here and interested in the Rye Hill Preserve, but because of that, and I know it wasn't on the agenda tonight, and I know we weren't expected to talk about it, so I wasn't really prepared. But I was curious about the motions, and I know it's after the fact because it's already been discussed, but the motions on tonight's agenda, the law that changed the amendment or however it is, I looked into it online. It's very legal, so I don't understand it, but it seems like you're change or amending laws to allow for high-density housing if they go into areas that water can be constructed or infrastructure could be changed. Is it coincidental at the same time that this law is being amended at the Rye Hill Preserve? I mean, it just caught my attention a little bit. And also, I don't understand it that well, and when the board makes a decision about changing or amending a law, is there a thought, is there a discussion, Mr. Cardone? Do you say, this is the reason we're thinking about doing it? Did I miss these?
Are you,
No, I just.
are you speaking about the tree code law?
No.
It's about the two, I'll address it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I'll see if I can. All right, so here, please sit down. So basically, the first one is about, I believe, about the sewer law and what that's not related to the Rye Hill Road development. That has not. Let me just answer the question. Because I can't, if I go back and forth, no one else will get a chance. So you ask, I'm gonna answer, and then I'm gonna move on to the next person. And if you have questions after, we'll be able to address them, all right? So that has nothing to do with the Rye Hill Road corridor project, all right? What that has to do with areas outside the town that don't, that would have had, that are within the sewer district, within either Moodna or Orange County Sewer District Number 1, that never had the infrastructure built out to them to service them, right? And that's something the county does or Moodna would do, right? So those, what that allows them to do is build at the density that if they had sewer, if they have a, an approved septic system, and that, it's not for large scale developments, it's for 3 houses or under, right? So it's not for high density housing, it's not for any of that. It's just for people, you live out, say, somewhere out on Lakes Road, it's Moodna. You never had the infrastructure to build there. You have a 3-acre piece of land. You want to divide that into and build 3 houses there, maybe for yourself, maybe for investment purposes, whatever. It allows you to do that. It's not for high density housing. So in other words, that will never service multiple dwellings, multiple connected high density dwellings. So the other thing we're talking about, the other local law, and I believe this is what you're referring to, is north of 17. That's up in the area that used to be referred to as the 507. That's up, there's some large parcels up there. And again, this same thing. And there's parts of that are on Orange County Sewer District number 1. So if they can get approved septic, in other words, their soils are all good, the engineer says it's great, then they can build 2 attached houses on a acre lot. And that, again, not high density, 2 houses. That's an area of the town that's in transition. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, to deny that would be foolish on our part. And so if it allows for greater density over there, and the greater density is, again, instead of 1 house, it's 2 attached. That's the only difference with it. But again, they have to have, the correct amount of acreage, setbacks, and they have to have the sewer, their septic system has to be approved. So if they're on granite and they can't do septic, well then they're not going to be able to avail themselves of it. So does that answer? And yes, any local law that we pass, since I've been doing this for the last 6.5 years or whatever, there's always a purpose to it, and we discuss it at length. Those local laws you've heard tonight, they've been banged around for the last 6 months. They've been on there, maybe longer. I forget. Maybe the 2-family overlay has been there for a long time.
Mike, let me comment on the tree code and the reasoning behind that. So what happened was about a little over 2 years ago, you had a developer who bought a parcel on Harriman Heights Road, which was supposed to be subdivided into, or he's looking to subdivide it into 2 lots. And what happened was when he did his tree survey, he included all the trees that were less than the sapling or the diameter, 6 inches, that were required. And the cost associated with him taking those trees down to build the house, which he's entitled to, would have been about $74,000 or $75,000. So what we were looking to do was to try to accommodate those that are within a 2 to 3 lot type of subdivision or had a single lot, so they would be able to build without the exorbitant fees associated with the current tree code. We're not looking to circumvent anything. We're not looking for somebody to do clear cutting. We're just trying to accommodate taxpayers. And this is a gentleman who has built in this town for a number of years. That's it.
Your 3 minutes are up. No, I'm
Thank you.
just kidding. All right. Next. Ma'am.
Sorry. Thank you. Helen Sontag, Oakland Avenue. Hi. With regard to what you just said about the 2 to 3 houses on a lot, is that part of the law? Does the law state that specifically, that it's for that? In the law?
But can you wait?
But
Please wait your turn.
Yeah, that wasn't my question.
I will answer your question. Our planner suggested that we make it more generic so that it wasn't specified for somebody with 1, 2, or 3 lots. He thought it was in the best interest of the town.
And they've been, those have been around since like 1970, those laws, and that's why we're looking to do that. Again, it's not for high density housing, it's for single family homes.
But it should, in my point of view,
We can't, Mike, you got to give her the mic. 'cause
Yeah,
We
I
can't
just,
hear.
I don't, here. I just don't want to get into a whole big back and forth.
This will be my final comment, that if the law is meant to address a certain situation, it seems like it should lay out what it's supposed to address rather than leaving it vague or more generic. Because when you leave it more generic, then there's more chance that it will not be used for the intent for which it was originally written.
Agreed, but the way it was written with the dimensions in there, it's going to be hard for somebody with a larger parcel to abide by that. And I will tell you this, it was presented by myself to our planner just the way you asked the question. So I'm in total agreement with you there, but when our planner and our attorney tell us, no, that's probably not the route to go, that's why we hire them. And maybe instead of rolling your eyes and twisting your head, I will have our attorney, our planner, present it at the next meeting so you can understand it fully. Mike, you got to give her the mic.
Yeah, let me just move on to the next person. We got you, and listen, I know when you read these local laws, sometimes it's, just, it's the way they're written. And we yeah, I know. And believe me, I think we've addressed these. We've built into every law we've done. We've built into that law. If you really delve into it, a lot of safeguards to make sure they're not going to be abused by people that are looking for loopholes. All right.
Mike?
And listen, again, that's, so who would like to speak next?
Mike, can I just get her to state her name again, please?
What's that?
Can I just please get her to state her name again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Helen?
Helen Sontag, Oakland Avenue.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Helen. All right.
I'm Liam Weissart on Harriman Heights Road, and I have just a couple of questions about the mechanics of CCR. So first off, Sunbrook Partners has an option to buy, correct? I read in the town code that the CCR, all of the lots have to be merged before CCR can be applied. So when does that happen? Second off, does Sunbrook Partners have to actually own the land so that they have to execute the option before they can get CCR? Third would be, can they then sell the land to someone else before building? Can they just rezone it and then sell it, flip it, per se? And then number 4 is, once they own the apartment, can they then sell the whole building? And also, how are future changes to the apartment building addressed? And do they have to actually build what they get for CCR? Or does it go back to the planning board and then they have to go through a site plan for something else?
Wait, go through it one by one for them again.
All right, listen, I'm going to try to answer those. So yes, there is a number of requirements that the applicant has to submit to the there's a number of parameters that they have to meet to submit the application, all right? And then from there, the town board reviews it to make sure that it's complete, the application for the CCR and wherever they're looking to land it. Just FYI, when we started this, when we started looking at this law as a way to kind of give us like unprecedented control over like with these large parcels, there's about maybe 10 of them left in the town on what could be developed there. We really, our planner, we looked at how other municipalities did it and really delved down to get something that was as, I don't want to say bulletproof, but something that was as succinct as possible, all right? So yes, so the applicant has to meet a whole bunch of criteria. That's all laid out in the law, all right? Once that is sent to us, once they have met that criteria, we then refer it to the planning board. As you just saw, the planning board reviewed it over the course of several meetings. They have a 60-day review period. They looked at it. They had a lot of comments, a lot of issues with it. As you saw, the applicant changed plans several times. So that has gone back to the applicant. So now it's up to them to either, they can do one of two things. They can either comply with what the planning board has requested in their recommendations that they sent back to us, and submit a modified or a new plan. So that's where that is right now. So it's back in their court. They have to look at everything that was, all those comments that was made by the planning board, who are the expert in this area, and now it's back in their court. So now we sit and wait and see if they come back with a plan. And then it kind of starts all over again. We review it, make sure it has all the things. So I think your other question, and if I'm missing it, was, all right, so now it comes back to us wherever it is, whether it's Rye Hill or somewhere else, and we land the zoning, all right? Now the zoning's landed. Now they decide, hey, I got the zoning, and now I want to sell it, right? I want to sell that master development plan. So the new applicant would have to come back, do a new application, and if let me just finish, because I'll lose my track, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm on a little, I just got to have the thoughts in my head. So when they have to come back, so if the seller sells it to another developer, then they have to do an application, the new buyer come to us and then say, I'm going to build this exactly as per the master plan that was developed, that was approved by the planning board, the town board. And if they do that, then it goes back to the planning board for site plan approval like it would normally. And then they go through the whole site plan approval process. None of this is going to be, I know you made comments, Matt. None of this is going to be quick, all right? So don't feel, I'll get you, ma'am. Let me just finish. What was the other? So, all right. So Sunbrook and the current owners have an agreement that is outside the towns. It's between those two. They can, if we, at some point in the future, if we find the plan to be acceptable, the planning board approves it and they get it back to us, then we land it. That's up to the two of them, whether, listen, the owners could turn around and say, oh, we're going to violate the contract and not sell it to you. We're not involved with that contract. That's between the buyers and the sellers. Nothing to do with the town. We're not referees in it. We don't care what happens with that. That's totally up to them. And what was the last question? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, well, they're going to have to own it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can't act as agents for somebody else. Yeah. No. It's got to, they have to own it to do the work there to develop it. They can't act as an agent for it. That's not, we're not going to permit that.
Just to follow up to what he was just saying. Stephen Gornstein, Rye Hill Road, Monroe. Does the CCR stay with the property? Oh, you said they had to come back and renegotiate with the planning board and you guys, et cetera. But once the CCR is landed for Sunbrook, let's say, party B now wants to buy it, do they automatically get the CCR coming their way, or do they have to then go back and re-earn their right to get the CCR? Does the CCR just keep flowing? It's there, it's permanent, or does it have to be renegotiated?
So, no, they have to come back. So if Sunbrook sold it to another party, they would have to come before us, do an application, and then if they submitted the same application with the same, like there wasn't one change in the master development plan, because it's really, with the CCR, it's all about the master development plan. The master development plan lays out structures, architecture, size, everything, and all that's all specified. Square footage of apartments, square footage of townhouses, that's all in the local law. We built that all in there because we know we wanted it to be something that would be a benefit to, we didn't want, big McMansions. We have those already. We wanted something for first responders to stay in the town, for seniors to stay in the town, for other people. And right now, there's none of that in Monroe, and there's not a lot in the surrounding area. I mean, most seniors here in Monroe, when they age out of their houses, they're going over to, Liberty Green, or they're going somewhere else. Very, very limited And we have an aging senior population. I'm part of it, you know, some of the board members, especially Tony, he's part of it, you know. So like, so yes, so kind of going off that, but if they decide, if the new buyers said, hey, I'm gonna change one iota of that master development plan, then they're back to ground zero and it starts all over again. Yes, yeah. So the CC, again, that master development plan, once that master development plan is landed, that's what's got to be built there. It can't, nothing else can be built there. That's what it is. And if they decide to flip it, then whoever buys that comes back to the board, applies, it gets reviewed, and as long as there's no changes and we've already do our due diligence, then from there, they would go to the planning board for site plan approval, and they would go through the process. It's all, the second go round? Only if they keep it, the master development plan exactly as it is. Yeah.
Mike, could you just give it a mic, please?
Oh,
Sorry, it's CCR approved. Once you approve it, regardless of flipping it or not, so the second party comes in, it's still CCR. Once you've designated it that, it remains that way. They have to build accordingly, but it's designated that. It never changes that status. That's the question.
it will, if someone buys it without that master development plan, like say, hey, we're buying the whole corridor. Well, then their options are one of two things. Either they present a master development plan that's exactly the same as the one that was approved for the CCR, or they build within they would have to build within the structure of the current zoning, which is, it's 1 acre, it's 3 acres up at the top, going down Berry. They would have to build within the parameters of the current zoning. So it's not like, hey, I bought it, I automatically get it. It doesn't work like that. All right, so, here, why'd you ask the question?
My name is Mary Silver, and I'm from Monroe for a very long time. Why don't we stay with the 1 acre zoning as it's been in the books for a very long time? Why do we change it? Why are we changing it?
Well, I'll answer your question, Mary. All right, so the reason being is this, all right? So, I'm gonna try to make, let me answer. I'm not looking to fight. So listen, the reason is this, all right? So you could develop that. It would be 247 houses that would go up one side of Rye Hill and down the other and over to Eagle Ridge. But if you do that, what you're gonna wind up with is something that looks like Smith Farm. Smith Farm is the development that's over by ShopRite. And I'm not saying that as a scare tactic, but that's what gets built on 1 acre lots in Monroe. So when we, as the town board, look at something that's going to be of maximum benefit to this town, let me finish, ma'am, let me finish. So if we're looking at something as of maximum benefit to this town, we want something that's like, hey, we're going to give you a little greater density, but you're going to cluster it onto one specific part of that total acreage. You're going to leave 65% of it not developed. That's going to be forever free for recreation, passive and active recreation. And that, to me, to us, to planners, is a much, much better alternative than suburban sprawl that's going to look like something that you have over there.
Mike, I have lived here over 60 years. I came up here in 1960. It was all farmland. Okay? I've lived on Hawkshurst Road for 59 years. I don't live there any longer. However, 1 acre zoning existed for a lot of reasons. They built Mansion Ridge, they built Prestwick, they built Fairway Estates. We got all those houses along Orange Turnpike. Now, that's another thing I wanted to ask you about. Traffic. Have we ever done a traffic study, or do we intend to do, on Orange Turnpike? Do you know what the traffic is like on Orange Turnpike these days?
Yes, I drive it every day.
Okay, and when I used to come out of Hawkshurst Road, do you know how long it took me to get out of that road before I left there 3 years ago? I can't even begin to tell you. So if you have any idea, and that curve, you know where the pond is, coming up the hill, in the wintertime, that's as slick as ice coming up that hill, honey. You stop that car, you don't go anywhere. And traffic coming out of there is going to be a nightmare.
All right, so traffic studies, there was some preliminary done. There will have to be more done as part of the site plan. And if there's additional any changes made, then traffic studies will have to reflect those changes. Listen, I drive Orange Turnpike every day, twice a day. I commute to the city. I know exactly what the traffic is up here. Yes, during rush hour, it's ugly. Off hours, it's not as, let me just finish. Listen, no one likes traffic. I get that. You know, no one likes traffic. I don't like traffic. I sit in it every day, coming and going to the city. I get it. But very rarely am I sitting in it in Monroe, you know? Yeah. And like I said, traffic studies will be done as part of the project, just like any other project that's done. Listen, you know what? If it reverts back to that, our concern is what, you know. Mary, if you've been here since 1960, you should know. You know, I'm just saying, you've seen, because, well, like I said, we're working. Let me just get to the next person. But that's why we've come up with this plan to build something that's something that will serve the needs of the current residents. And current residents are seniors, millennials, people that want to stay here, and we want them to stay here, our first responders, our volunteer, firemen, ambulance corps. Right now, there's not a lot of options for them, other than living at home with mom and dad or moving somewhere else, and we want to keep them here. So let me just...
Okay, so Carol Hawkshurst Road.
Just if you keep it to like 2 or 3 questions, because otherwise I'm going to forget it. So
Uh,
I'm trying to work with this here.
So it all started back when I was...
I can't hear what she's saying.
Yes, I will. Okay. So now I lost my train of thought. Pressure's on. Pressure's on. So 147 single-family homes were proposed, or not even. I figured it out. I figured it would be about 147 single-family homes. 20 acres on the Eagle Ridge side is buildable. You got to consider the environmental constraints. It was about 40-something on the Shea side, plus whatever the conservation part is. I don't know, because it looks like wetlands in there too. I've done my research. I see it. So I really don't understand how you're talking about originally 300 units on the Eagle Ridge side when actually 20 single-family homes would have been put in there. We spoke to the county supervisor who said at the time, he said there were 40 cars that would be, right, Matt? Was it 40 cars going in and out? That was all it's approved for. Heard nothing about 300 units. Was shocked to hear it. That was one.
So to the best of my knowledge, with Eagle Ridge, we never had a site plan for that back in the day. The only site plan we had was for Shea Meadows, and that was, let me just finish, that was on the bottom part of Shea Meadows, and it was 49 houses. 49 houses that probably would have doubled in occupancy because under the old, right. So as far as Eagle Ridge, there may have been some proposals, but there's nothing ever that made it out to the planning board that I'm aware of. But let me just finish. So when we looked at this and we looked at, and it's right in the comp plan, when we redid the comp plan back in 2016, 17. It was 247 houses over the whole development, over all the land. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not going to tell you I know how many were there. That 300 units that, again, Sunbrook did several iterations of that. I don't think it's 300 units anymore. But all right, so so, it's, again, I'm just telling you what, I'm just, if, if you get single family, and it's not gonna be bi-levels going like that were our neighborhoods, like my neighborhood and part of your neighborhood and most neighborhoods that were built in the 60s and 70s. It's not going to be bi-levels. So I'm just saying that. So that's something for us to look at. Just one follow-up so I can move on to the next person, please.
They still have to be single-family homes, correct? With or without, I don't know, does it go with the current guidelines of our zoning now?
So our current zoning is that new builds, single-family homes cannot have accessory apartments in them for 10 years. That was what we did as a town board to protect people using that loophole to double the density in the town. That's what we did. That's what this town board did, not somebody before us because we knew that this was an issue. And again, when we looked at doing this development, we looked at those issues and we're trying to figure out something that was of the best benefit to the town. Well, listen, we can have a sit down and talk about this. We'll have public information sessions. We'll sit here on a Saturday morning or in the evening or whatever works out for people. There'll be several of them and we will talk about it. And I don't know what's going to happen from here. Is Sunbrook going to submit another plan? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
As far as the next step, because I'm confused, is it Sunbrook then goes back to the planning board and goes to the town? Yeah.
So the planning board made recommendations, right? And those recommendations were sent to the town board. We sent those to Sunbrook and said, these are the concerns of the planning board. Answer those concerns, send us back, or it's up to you. Either address these concerns, submit a new plan, or it's up to you what you do at this point. You can back out. That's not our concern. One second, we just Well, so if they submit a new plan, it comes back before the town board, we review it. No, it comes to us, we'll review it. If it meets all those parameters that it's supposed to meet in the local law, then at that point, we will refer it to the planning board for a 60-day review, just like we did the last time, and the planning board will go through it, and they will send it back to us with either recommendations, either a negative recommendation with the whole thing or whatever their recommendation is. And then the town board at that point will act on that. That's.
So the 60 or 90 day, it might even be longer than that.
It could be. Yeah, and again, if they do their 60 or 90 day review, right? And it comes back and they come back to us with recommendations, right? Then it still has to go back to them for the whole site plan review process that any.
You decide about the CCR and how many 60 from the planning board to you.
When they send it back to us, right.
Mike,
How soon can we land it?
Mike, can you give her the mic so that when she asks the question, just so we can.
All right, I think we're
get
done
it on
with this.
tape?
I think it's either 45 or 90 days. I'm not sure. I'd have to look. 45 or 90 days. It's one of the two. I forget. I don't have the law in front of me. So, who's got the next question? Maureen?
So just sitting in on all of the planning board meetings, just to immediately go off what you just said, the planning board, from my perspective, recommended. There were 3 categories, and essentially Chairwoman Franson seemed dissatisfied with those 3 categories and seemed to make her own category of recommending it be modified rather than recommend with modifications, because she outlined in her recommendation that it was an incomplete application and that she would like it to be sent back to her again before you guys voted on it. As there were substantial pieces. Basically, is that going to happen?
Yes.
where you guys give it back again.
So if Sunbrook decides to look at those recommendations that the planning board made and come back with a amended or new plan or whatever, then the planning board is going to, the town board will look at it, do our due diligence on it, make sure that the application is complete, and then at that point, we'll send it to them again, and they'll start the review process again. And that's not site plan review, that's just reviewing to see, for comments on on what they think of the development and what they think of the master development plan, I should say. Let me just, one last question, please. And
I'm just trying to clarify this question.
Okay.
Okay,
And listen, I'm only saying this because you know what? They record all this, and if they can't hear it.
no, I understand that.
People at home, when they watch it, will be like, what the heck?
I'm just trying to clarify this question before my second question, that's all. I have two questions, so I just didn't understand if you guys are sending it back to them for another round right now, for round of recommendations. Okay. My second question is that, does this actually fit a real estate need in Monroe right now? If we have Palatine Village, that's going to be about 175 senior housing apartments right 1 mile down the road. And I'm a millennial, and Jeffrey Buss has come out saying explicitly that the affordable workforce housing is a misnomer in this case because of the exploding real estate market. I would not pay the rent, I just wouldn't. I would just not pay the rent that we've calculated at home based on the average income in this area is over 100 grand. I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so I'm not sure what he said because I wasn't privy to your conversation. I know what you're saying here. So, all right, but if that was here at planning board, I'm not sure. Yeah, wherever it was, but irrespective of that, so the affordable, if you say that the median right now is like 98,000 or something for Monroe, right? So domestic couple, non-domestic couple together, you know, most people together are going to make $100,000. If you're a single male, maybe you're a cop in the city or an EMS worker or you work for the MTA or something like that, maybe you make that with overtime, maybe you don't. I can't answer that question. But Carol, I'm trying to, well, I know, listen, I know what my kids' friends make and I know all that stuff. So this isn't something like we, pulled out of thin air. So I know, yeah, some people, if you're working, in a retail store, maybe you're in the Commons or whatever, you're making 50 grand a year. So by yourself, yeah, you're not going to qualify for that. But most people, if you look at, someone that's a volunteer fireman, they're in the highway department, or they're working in some other capacity, them and their significant other, they're at that $100,000 without too much of an issue. So, I mean, I think the affordable is a big part of it because, listen, you want people to stay here, and is there a need? Yeah, there's clearly a need because we hear that from people all the time. We spoke already. We can talk again next meeting, or you can send me an email or something like that. I want to get everybody else, and we have executive to do here. So I'm trying to do the best to answer your questions. And we'll have sit downs after this. All right. So, anybody else? Did you ask yet?
One more comment?
Is it a comment or you got a question?
A question or a statement.
I'd rather have a question, Matt, because you already made your statement up there. Ask, go ahead.
All right. Well, today, it's a statement or a question that you had. We just approved a gentleman for $29 an hour working here. That person probably is going to have about a $60,000 a year job here. He's not going to be able to afford to live in those apartments, according to what you just said. Am I right about that?
Can I answer it?
Yes, that's right.
Yep. So if he's making that himself, If he's single, then yeah, he probably wouldn't. But if he's got a significant other, which most, what we see is the demographic, then yeah, they're probably going to make it. You know what I mean? Listen, we can't, if you want to keep that, you got to keep, you can't keep it too low because then you're going to wind up having other issues with it. So keeping it at that level is going to get probably most of the people that are, especially as a couple, that are engaged in the workforce. All right, listen, you can't yell out because I can't get that on mic. So, well, so I guess they can, and that's their choice. Listen, no, listen. There's like hypotheticals there, but Carol, please let me just talk. I know I've been like trying to get everybody's thoughts in here, and we're going to be doing a lot more of this. So those hypotheticals, I mean, I can't. What we know is if you look at the median average for salaries in the town of Monroe, it's $98,000 a year. So I mean, if you look at that, so that's not a fake number. That's what comes up from, and that's actually a couple years old. So, but you're not letting me talk. So I mean, you can't just keep on yelling at me because I'm not going to be able to answer it. So Maureen.
Okay.
One more thing.
Okay. If it's an average and not the median, data is skewed. So if there are very rich people in Monroe, it does not represent the people making under a certain mark, which is that was my point, is that it does not service the need of the type of, I have a house. I'm a millennial and I'm in a unique situation, that's why I'm here. All of my friends are gone or they live in their mom's basement. So like, I know what you're talking about. And in order to avoid that, I think you guys would need to intervene more on pricing is my point, because Bus has actively come out, it's on record, it's on video, saying that affordable is a misnomer, and this company that is pricing, it's up to them.
So it's not up to them, all right? It's up to the law. The law, the CCR says it, and as well as being high-end people in the town that pull that number up, there's plenty of people that are at, unfortunately, that are at the poverty level here. So you've got both sides of the spectrum, and that's really what it comes down to. Listen, I've had 4 kids grow up in this town. You know what I mean? Some of them have left because for a variety of reasons. And listen, one of my sons lives right down in Sloatsburg in those apartments next to Annie L. I think he pays, him and his roommate split it, it's $2,300 a month, 2-bedroom. But you know what? There was nothing like that up here. He would have loved to have stayed here. He grew up here. He was a Monroe kid. He would have loved to have stayed here. But he couldn't because there was nothing to support that. And a bunch of his friends he's 27 now. So there's a bunch of his friends that are the same thing. Yeah, some of them did really well and married and were able to qualify for mortgages, and they bought homes here in Monroe. Some of them couldn't, and then they had to look elsewhere. Go up to Chester where there's, apartments, and go other places. So all right, listen, you could do what ifs all night long, and I could say those are all hypotheticals. Clearly, and the one thing, I don't mean to yell in your ears, but clearly these people that are looking to develop it, they've done market studies. They're not dummies. They clearly know that there's a need there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be building it. I'm not a real estate guy. I have no idea, but they've looked at it and they see, ma'am, one last question, and then we're going to call it a night.
I was cheated, because they got extra questions. I was polite. Is that? Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have a question with regard to these affordable and senior housing going to the people that you want to keep here. Residents, but you can't require it. Legally, I don't know. I mean, I know that there are other cases where this has happened, and it was called discriminatory in some cases. Maybe you could try to give preferences, but I just wanted to bring that up as, we can't make sure that only the residents are going to be here and not people from other, coming in.
So certainly, as part of a management company or an HOA, you can say, just like they do in the senior apartments down in the village, hey, X amount of those are set aside for Monroe residents. And you can do the same thing here, and that was our anticipation. Same thing with workforce. You can say, hey, X amount of them have to be first responders, have to be volunteers in the community. You can do that. I'm not saying anyone else gets excluded because, Fair Housing Act is what it is. And, our attorneys are the best. Don't tell Nugent I said that, even though he's not here. But, listen, a lot of work has gone into this. We haven't done this willy-nilly, and I'm not saying we have, but believe me, we've looked at pretty much every angle of this we can to make sure that, it's legal. And the county has looked at it too, their planning department. So they know, they're not, if there was something that was off board, like, hey, you can't do this, we would have got that back in the comments from them. So with that all being said, we're gonna do the executive session. Listen, we will definitely do some public information sessions. We'll pick a Saturday morning. People can come down. Most people are available then, hopefully, and we'll be glad to, kick around any questions that you have. All right. But like I said, I tried to answer best everything that you put forward. There's a lot of hypotheticals, and listen, I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't. I wish I did, and wish I could predict, housing trends. If I did, I'd be living on an island somewhere. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you something, and I'll just kind of finish with this, Carol. Carol, I was part of the Right Hill Coalition when this first started back in the early 2000s, all right? If I wish that the market didn't crash and everything got built out, but it didn't. You know what I mean? And now we're in a different place now. And you know what? We've come up with this law to address what we feel is going to really benefit this town in the long run. Listen, I wish we didn't have to develop another thing. If I hit lotto and I won $16 million tomorrow, I'd go to I'd go to the owners and say, hey, here's 16 million clams. I'll buy it and I'll do what I want with it. But that's, unfortunately, someone's going to develop it. I'm just going to leave you with that. We can't stop people from developing it and that's New York State law. It's not, Mike McGinn's law. It's not Town of Monroe law. Let me just finish. They got to build it as per the zoning. So we have two sets of zoning. There's either the CCR or there's the, which is an overlay, or the existing zoning. So someone's going to build on it. They're going to build one of two ways. So the way we look at it, like we looked at the other large parcels, is it something that's going to benefit the town, or is it something that's going to benefit a developer and whoever they're building for? And that's what we kind of looked at when we did this. No other reason. I'm not going anywhere. My kids all live within 20 minutes of me. I'm not moving. I got great neighbors. They all grew up on my street. I live on High Ridge. I love it there. None of us are, we're all here. We're all in this. We're, Yeah. And Briarcliff went in my backyard. I know what you're saying, and I hated it when it happened. But when I moved in, and it was a nice field, and there was a barn there, I was like, wow, this is great. I'm going to lose this. But so if you want to come over to my house, you can look out my backyard, and the house that's behind me is higher than my flat ranch that was built in '62. So, Johnny Dupree, I'll let you finish this off so we can go down.
This is basically what I said at the last meeting, and that is, the garage is underneath. That
plan's dead.
That doesn't do the senior citizens any good, because they have to carry their groceries.
But please talk into the mic, Johnny.
What?
Yeah. All right. So you're asking, because you weren't coming through. So you're saying, hey, the parking under the apartments doesn't work because of the elevators, right? Or because the seniors have to carry everything in. I think originally what was part of that plan were elevators in that building. So if seniors parked underneath, there were elevators to take them up 2 or 3 floors or whatever the height was. Yeah, elevators. That was part of their plan originally. That's not part of it, so right now that's all hypothetical. But there would have been elevators in there. So, yeah, so anyway, listen, let me call this a night. Thank you everyone for your questions and your comments, and we will do our damnedest to address your concerns, and we'll see what comes forward with it.
The dialogue that just took place is very beneficial to us. It cuts down some of the anxieties. It puts you guys on notice that we have lots of questions. And with a give and take in a small town, it's only the way to go. Otherwise, you're just looking at red and blue and enemies from both sides. It doesn't pay.
Well, listen, that was why I wanted to do it this way than having people come up here and speak to us like we're on some throne or something up there. So I think it's, a little bit better. Yeah. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. And
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a settlement.
Supervisor, just before you go into executive session, I just want to clarify that local law number 5 of 2022 for the general code estimate was regarding amending the special permit requirements applicable to hotels.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Discussion. Just one other thing. An email came in prior to, Mike going, Councilman
Yes, I read that
going out.
email.
So I just want that person to know we did get your email. I'll have it added into the comments with
Mary, this isn't a
secretary?
public hearing, so I don't believe it can be added into
Can
the
an email
comments.
be added? No?
No.
Okay, so then hopefully he'll be here next.
There'll be a form for that.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll vote for going to executive session. Aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Aye.
You second.
Into our regularly scheduled meeting of September 6th.
And I will second said motion.
All right. Do we call the question now?
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin aye.
All right, so moved. So, with respect to a resolution regarding the settlement of the Highview case, we would approve that stipulation. Oh, you don't trust me? You don't trust? You know what? You really haven't done a thing tonight. Why don't you read it?
He's actually done quite a lot.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, counsel.
Resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized to execute the so ordered stipulation.
Speak into the mic. I got it covered, Georgie. There you go.
George, be it resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized to execute the so ordered stipulation in the litigation matter of Highview Properties DHF Inc. versus the town of Monroe et al., Orange County Supreme Court, index number 2017-000298, in the form presented to the town board.
I'll make that motion. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin aye.
So moved. So I will make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting at 9:37 p.m.
Pool will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Pool eye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin aye.
So moved. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, George.
Good night.
Good night.